Okay, the story and the explanation are hopefully going to have given you a good picture of what COVID-19 regulations and stuff, guidelines are going to look like at PCA for a kid, in this case, Jackie. So there are a couple of details that didn't really fit into the story, and so I'm going to be going over those with you now. So the first one is this. Is your student at a high risk student, meaning being at high risk for getting COVID-19? This is a question that the school is required to ask of each to each parent, each student, so that students or their caregivers can identify students as being at high risk. And that would be if a student or their parents feel like the student is often very sickly, if the student has asthma, if the student has some other sort of pre-existing condition that's going to make them more susceptible to getting sick, then what we're asking you to do is, if you're part of the school, we need you to like self-identify as being one of those high-risk students, and then we can help sort of make plans and make accommodations for how to make sure that those kids stay safe. Okay, secondly, the whole school is going to be disinfected at least once per day, and then all the playground and gym equipment is going to be disinfected at least once per day. Now, these are part of the guidelines. Disinfecting the entire school needs to happen at least once a day. Disinfecting all of the equipment, all the gym, playground stuff, all the balls, all that stuff has to be disinfected at least once per day. So I'm just letting you know that that is, in fact, what we are going to be doing. Third, we are not allowed to have volunteers work at the school. This is explicitly part of the guidelines here, and so the 30-hour program that we had in 2019, 2020 is going to be suspended as of now. Now, I would love it if this whole thing would blow over and we could reinstate that, because it definitely helps to have volunteer help there, helps bring costs down. But there at the school, and I love having parents around there at the school. But as of right now, we're going to need to suspend that. Now, number 4 is we're also supposed to discourage people from visiting the school. And so I'm a little uncomfortable about this one, because I very much see the school as being part of a three-way relationship, right? It's like this, we've got parents, and we've got the church, and we've got the school. It's a three-way relationship, and the school is the least of all the partners, and the school really is just partnering with churches and parents to raise these kids. And so I feel like inviting people into the school to visit the school is a major part of showing how that we're really partners with you, and not taking the kid away and having them 4 or 5 hours and then giving them back. Like, we're really trying to work with parents and churches as well. And so I'm just going to say this as far as the visitors go. So as far as visiting goes, so we're supposed to discourage visiting, and I'm not going to use that strong of a word. All I would say is just maybe instead of just dropping in whenever you want to, maybe just make your visits a little bit more intentional. And then also, if visitors do show up there at school, we are required to screen you before you come in. You need to use the hand sanitizer like the kids do when they come in, and then you also need to wear a face covering or a face shield or a face covering of some kind while you're in the building. So we'll hold you to those requirements. But I'm not going to say that visitors can't come at all. I'm uncomfortable with that. Maybe just make your visits more intentional, or something like that. I know that's kind of vague, but that's the kind of the best I've got for you at the moment. Okay, number 5, face shields. Field trips and large school events are currently suspended. That's part of the regulations. Meetings with parents will be conducted in some other way than in large parent-teacher conferences. So very much feel that having teachers and parents be on the same page needs to happen. That there needs to be lots of communication, but possibly the parent-teacher conference model might be kind of gone, and instead we'll have to rely a lot more on just phone calls, emails, texts, whatever, to get that information conveyed. Okay, number 6, PCA is responsible to relay information from the Oregon Health Authority or the Linn County Health Department to you. That is, we're tasked with doing that, with making sure that you understand what the state and the county are asking of you. Now, we're also responsible to notify any households who have students that came into contact with a student or teacher with COVID. We've got to let you know. I dealt with that in a different video that said what we would do if someone did have COVID, but that's one of the requirements that we have, is we have to have a protocol in place that allows us, or that makes sure that we tell every kid and their family members that they have come into contact with COVID. Now, finally, PCA is responsible for keeping open lines of communication with staff, students, and caregivers concerning how COVID is impacting the school and what the school is doing about COVID. So this is actually what I'm doing right now. This is what this means. There's these guidelines. I'm letting you know what the guidelines are and how exactly the school is going to be working out those guidelines. So this kind of video, as well as the documents being sent out by email, documents being posted on the website, it's all going to be part of our sort of comprehensive communication process, where we're trying to make sure that everyone understands what's being asked of them, everyone understands what to do, and everyone understands what's going on. Now, this also works itself all the way down to a situation like Jackie being sick. So like when Jackie was sick and she went to the first aid room, then in that case, there's actually certain guidelines in place where, like in the story, Miss Janelle took care of Jackie. And so in that case, Miss Janelle is actually required to wear, like, I think wear gloves, and then also for sure wear like a special like medical grade mask. And then every time she touches something, she's actually supposed to sanitize her hands and stuff. And anyway, for a kid like Jackie who's in second grade, she might be like, why is my teacher being so scared of me? Why is she wearing the, why? Like, I'm not gross. And so one of the things that we're really dedicated to doing is to have very clear communication with the students as well, as we're going through a process like that, where we say, hey, Jackie, look, hey, you're sick right now. And like, there's nothing gross about you, but these are things that I need to do to make sure I don't spread your sickness around, right? And so we want to be very kind and explain the whole process to students as much as possible. I feel like in a time like now, where there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of stuff going on, the more information that we can get out, the more we can be on the same page, the more that we can sort of diffuse a lot of the chaos that surrounds COVID and these regulations and stuff. Okay, I hope that gets at the heart. Hope you understand the heart of what we're trying to do here with communication. But to summarize this point, PCA is responsible to relay information from the government to you. We're responsible to tell any staff, students, and their families if they've come into contact with someone with COVID. And then lastly, we're responsible to make sure you understand what the school is doing in response to COVID. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Okay, number 7. The annual school benefit auction is an entirely separate matter. It's something that I have not dealt with at all, have not thought about almost at all, and it's going to be handled by somebody else entirely. So all of these things I've been talking about, I really do not know at all how that's going to impact the annual school auction, but I figure that's probably a question that a lot of people are going to have, and the answer as of right now is I don't know what to tell you about that. But it's going to be a whole different thing, whole different issue. Okay, let me get to our conclusion here. So if you'd like to read the Ready Schools Safe Learners requirements yourself, and if you'd like to read the school's blueprint, and if you'd like to read the communicable disease plan, all of that stuff is available on pioneerchristian.org/health or /COVID-19. All of this stuff is going to be there, and if you would like to make more sense of all the stuff that's going on, then feel free to look through that. Now, obviously, there probably are a lot more questions that you have, but I figured at some point I wanted to just stop and just give you everything that I know, and then start dealing with more specific things like what exactly lunches and recesses will look like, so all these other specific questions that probably will be coming up. All I can say for now is please, if you do have questions, please email them to us. It's a lot easier if you email them to us, because then we can keep track keep track of the questions that have been coming in, and then probably we'll create a frequently asked questions section on the COVID-19 section of our website, so that we can get a lot of those FAQs answered, or the answers to those questions posted there. All right, so thank you very much to all of those of you who have watched these videos. I hope they have been helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time. Mr. Chris, out.